Hi everyone, it's Mike here and welcome back. So it's time for October's mission inspiration over on our Facebook group. So without further ado, let me turn over to my overhead camera, show you the prompts for the month and what I'm going to do for this month's project. So this is the prompt sheet for October's mission inspiration. So I'll have a quick read through. So it says, add colour with your fingers. So we're going to get messy today. Add a quote like a ransom note. Okay. Use 2 different stencils. That's fine. Add a die cut or 2. Yeah, no problem. Blow paint with a straw. We're going to have to find one. Add shine or sparkles. Well, I noticed we've got gold over in there, so we could combine 2 of those. Glue napkin fragments. Yeah, great stuff. And then add doodles or scribbles. So fairly straightforward one this month. So we've got imperfect, always a good get out. Harvest, so cool sort of colours to use. Harvest colours, but we've got gold and warmth in there, which is really good. So we can use kind of nice fall, autumn colours, oranges, yellows, golden colours, that kind of stuff, all nice warm colours. And then we've got the word repeat, which is excellent. So we can repeat the same motif all the way through their journal page, which is brilliant. So fairly good one. So I almost always try to follow the line, but I always jump around a bit when it suits. So first thing I'm going to do then, glue napkin fragments, because that's always good to go down first of the background layer. So we'll do that one first, and then once we've done that, we can maybe add colour with fingers, but I will get some gloves. I'll get some nice little gloves. So first things first, let me go and source some appropriate napkin fragments and I'll be right back. Autumn leaves, fall leaves. So this is a 3-ply napkin. I've already removed one of the plies, which I'll put to one side. So you can either go in with some kind of pokey tool, or another tip for removing the plies or separating the plies is just get a couple of strips of washi tape, to put one on each side and then just pull apart. That seemed to be a good idea as well. So once you've removed the first ply, you just got to be careful, because obviously it gets considerably thinner and thinner and thinner every time you separate a ply. But we are only doing fragments, so it doesn't matter if you do actually rip a little bit of the napkin. So there we go. Yeah, it's caught at this side, which is okay. Like I said, we're not using the whole thing, so that will do, I think. Yep. So we've got some slight pattern still on that one, but it looks like somebody's stamped badly. Okay, so only going to be using this side of the journal. This is my mission inspiration journal for 2023. This is the page I'm going to be working on. Now it does say fragments, so I think what I'll do is I'll tear just down that line there. Bum, 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 bum. Plus this is the back as well. And then, come on, separate. A bit further. Actually, no, do you know what? I'm making things more complicated than they need to be. Let's just rip and tear. Okay, so I've still got 3/4 of that napkin that I can play with at a later date. So let's tear into fragments. So what we've got, let's just do 3. So what we've got, get rid of that one because there's a straight line on that, and I don't want straight lines because we want to be imperfect, as the words for inspiration say. So let's mix it up. So I've got 3 strips 3 strips. So let's turn that round so the leaves are going in that direction, and then imagine they're going in all the different directions anyway, aren't they? Right, so 3 different strips there, which we will glue down, but we'll do them in that kind of way. So we've got a repeating pattern that way. So we've got 3 repeats of the same motif. Right, so let's have a look, see if I can find some matte medium now, because I've had a tidy up. I haven't actually been into my craft room properly since we went to do the class in Lincoln, so I don't know where anything is. Right, I tell you what, why don't I go and sort my life out and then I'll be back. Okay, so I've got some matte medium. This is Slap It On Matte from our friends at Indigo Blue. I've given it a really good shake up. And of course, there's always some kind of little film on the inside. Always. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a little blob towards the top. Get a brush. Add just a little layer there, because I just want to be careful. Tissues are napkins are very delicate, and we'll just bring that brush down just gently as we're adding just a tad more of the matte medium, and we'll just go all the way through. That's it. You can add the matte medium onto the top of the napkin and it will just go through to the layer underneath onto the page, because it's so thin. And you just have to very carefully just brush. Gently does it. Slowly. There we go. But like I said, if you get a bit of an imperfection in it, it doesn't matter, because you're allowed, because imperfection is one of the words for inspiration this month. So, right, next one then. Let's lay that down. Let's bring it down a little bit. Okay. And then we can lay that one down like so. Just gently from the middle, going outwards, which just helps to flatten, remove any kind of little air bubbles that you might have. I'm not bothered that there's wrinkles or creases. That's fine. Okay, so just go over the edges, because matte medium also does help. It's almost like clear gesso. Okay, so we'll let that dry. I'll go and wash my brush and then I'll be right back. Okay, that's all dry now. I've zoomed in a little bit so you can see what I'm doing. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to jump into my paint collection. This is my collection of warm Deco Art Americana paints. So what we want is, yes, we definitely want orange. We definitely want that ochre, and we'll have a touch of maybe a touch of honey brown, and also I don't want to go red. Maybe dried clay. Maybe a lighter yellow. cherry red. Only if necessary. Only if necessary. Right, so I'm going to get to one side, put them down there on the floor. Gloves, because I don't want stained fingers today. Okay. Right, let's just tilt that a little bit so I've got somewhere to work with. Paint mat. Let's grab a paint mat. There we go. Let's stick that on there. Right, so what I'm going to do is I think I'm going to start off with just some of that honey brown. So this is the adding colour with the fingers. There we go. So we've done the glue napkin fragments and we're going to jump back up again to add colour with fingers. So there was a time when I used to do the prompts that I used to do them in kind of a logical order. But then I thought, you know what? Why? It's more fun if you can play about and mix and match. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to take the honey brown and just kind of go around the edges to start off with, almost creating that kind of border. Diffuse the edges of where the napkin is, so bring it in, take it back out again. I mean, you might just want to go for it, don't use your fingers at all. Don't use your fingers, don't use a glove at all. But I've started to get dry skin when I have things like the matte medium and that kind of thing. So I like to use gloves now. So let's just bring some of that in the middle. Upsy downsy. I like the texture that I'm getting on the napkin. Where it's wrinkled, the paint's catching, so we're getting a little bit of texture. Yeah, that obviously wasn't dry under there. So that's just gone and destroyed that bit of napkin, but that's all right. All right, so while we've still got that paint on there, I'm going to come in with that yellow ochre. So let's give it a quick shake first. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to, just like I've done with the honey brown, I'm just going to come in and add colour in with my finger. I'm going to do that with the other colours too. So what I'll do, rather than do this real time, because it literally is watching paint dry, is I'll go on to fast forward, pop some music on, and then I'll join with you in real time when I've finished adding in the other colour layers. Okay, I think that's enough for that. So I'll get that dried off. That Sunny Day paint was a lot more opaque than I thought it was going to be. Usually yellows are much more transparent or translucent, but that one's fairly opaque. So, right, let's just quickly get this dried off and then we're back on with the next. All right, so that's now dry. So I thought we'd get the next weird one out of the way, which is blow paint with a straw. Okay, when I say paint, I mean colour, pretty much. So what I've got is, I've got one of the indigo blue vivids. This is the original oak, which is a brown colour. So I'll bring my colour chart in. That's the original oak there. So what I'm going to try and do is I'm going to mix, this is very, very pigment rich. So I'm going to mix some of the original oak pigment with some water. Just get this spritzy bottle. There we go. I've got a fan brush, so I'm just going to pick up water with the fan brush, mix it with the original oak, and then I'm going to splatter it down just lightly. Okay, so now that I've splattered that down, there's a huge great big blob in the middle of the page, which I don't want, but that's going to get covered up anyway. Let's get rid of that, because that's no longer needed. Okay, and then grab a straw. Turn it round. Get some runs going. Very subtle. I think maybe a little bit too subtle. Right, so let's go a bit darker. Let's do some black gesso. Grab that paint mat again. Some black paint. Ooh. Okay, water. Okay, mix up the gesso. Okay, move that to one side. Tidy that up in a moment. And let's turn that around. Little spidery legs. Let's just bring it back in again. So just be careful with your breathing. If you suffer from any kind of chesty things, just remember, blowing through a straw may cause short of breath. Right, or make you go dizzy. Because it does when you blow through a straw. Right, so that's going to go into the background. It will lighten when it dries. So let me get that dried off and then I'll be back. The black runs are now dry, so let's just come in and start ticking off what we've done. can grab a pen. All right, so we've added colour with the fingers. We've blown paint with a straw, and we've glued napkin fragments. We've repeated, we've used warm colours. Those chaos runs with the straw, definitely imperfect. So next, so use 2 different stencils. Okay, so I've got new stencil today. Let's see if I've got something I can put that over there. This is called Grungy Bits, which is got lots of different textures that you can use. So there's like amorphous blobs, there's lines, there's triangles, there's little imperfect hearts there. Again, there's like harlequin shapes, there's what looks like faux stitching or scars. There's lots of different textures. I love this little kind of little cups, regimented cups there as well. So there's lots of different little textures in this stencil. So this one is called, like I said, Grungy Bits. This is available on the website now. But also my second stencil, I've redesigned the old roundel stencil. So previously this was only a 6x6. So I've now done the flow of the bubbles, if you like, in the larger size, and I've increased the size of these dots over in the top right hand corner. They're the same down here at bottom, but here in the top right hand corner they're now larger dots. But also this swathe of bubbles coming this way, I've extended so that it fits, but they're still circles. I haven't just dropped the pattern down. I've tilted it and then I've extended it so it comes further this way. So again, the roundel stencil is now back in stock and on the website in the new larger size. But like I said before, it doesn't cost any more. I've kept the price the same, even though it's a larger stencil. So those are the 2 stencils that I'm going to be using. So the Grungy Bits, first of all. So I want some white gesso. Just give it a shake up. Hoping this one's going to be okay. I've had these for such a long time. Now maybe I need a new one. Such a long time. Let's have a look. Dina Wakeley. Just open that over the bin. So they always get white flakes of paint everywhere. That should do it. All right. A little brush. So even this has started to thicken up in the pot. You've usually only got a couple of months once you've actually opened and started using these paints before they start thickening up. It's just the natural process of obviously the moisture in the product. And it's worse in these stubby pots. So the trick is, I suppose, is use it more often. Use it up before it dries up. So I'm just going to grab some gesso onto the sponge and we'll start off with, I think we'll start off with those hearts. Actually, let me flick it over that side and we'll just dab through and start breaking up that pattern finally. So hearts there. Let's have some over here. Break up that edge a little bit. And then maybe just a couple down here towards the bottom. Don't get hung up about pattern because we are going to be adding more to this. Right, so let's get this second stencil. And then we'll add a few. I'm not dabbing very, very heavily with the spongy. Break up those borders and those edges. Put some of those down here. Just go light. And then do some of those over here in this corner. It's nice and light, so you can still see the colour. It will come through. So you'll still see when the gesso dries, it will still come through, so you will still see bits. Okay, so put those to one side for cleaning later. In fact, no, actually, I'll go and clean them now. Strike while the iron's hot. So I'll get these dried off, get this lot cleaned up, wash the brush, clean the mat down, and I'll be right back. Okay, so we're all cleaned up, all tidied, and all dry now. So I've ticked off the use 2 different stencils. So the next thing then is to add a die cut or 2. Okay, so this I think is where it starts getting a bit more all to me. So I've got this new pack of, well, I said die cut, if you like. They're actually laser cut, craft leaves, craft shapes. So let me just open this packet up. So there are, in the packet, 24 fabulous leaf shapes, and that they range from about 1.5 inches up to about 4 inches. Some really cool kind of largish leaves. There's some oak leaves, there's chestnuts or whatever. There's all sorts of different beech leaves, there's different shapes. I'm not going to name all the trees that they're from, but anyway, they're all kind of different sizes, all different shapes, but they're all craft card, and they're actually laser cut, which is great. 2 different colours. That's just the way the craft card comes. So it's the same sort of cardstock that I use for my packaging, but I just think these are absolutely brilliant. So I'm not going to use loads of them today. Like I said, you get 24 in the pack. And these are on the website now, so if you're interested in those, then pop across. And like I always say, fill your boots. So let's just grab like that one. We just want enough to kind of create like a carpet, if you like, of shapes. So to be honest, I mean, that is on an 8x8 page is probably more than enough. Yeah, I like that. I like that. So I'll put those back in the packet and I'll mark these so they don't go back in stock. Right. I don't want to be sending out a half-used pack. Okay. I'll put that to one side. Right, so now I've got these leaves. I want to add a little bit of colour and a little bit of texture onto these. So what I could do, I could either stamp on them, I could splatter them, I could spritz them with all sorts of different stuff, which is what I'm going to do with these. But I am going to stamp on them first. So I want a small kind of text stamp, which I've got here. And I'll need a small block or smallish block. I'll use one of my skinny minis, which are ideal because they're lightweight and ergonomic. There we go. And I'll use some VersaFine black ink. You could use brown, but I'm going to be spritzing these with colour, so I don't particularly want the colour to run, but I also don't want this to be perfect either. So I'm just going to start stamping onto the leaves. Random, pretty much. Oh, now, lovely. Just turn that one around and get it in that corner. There we go. Maybe on that stem. That's it. So that just adds a little bit of extra texture. So I'll sort that stamp out later. So I'll just quickly give these a blast off with the heat gun because I don't want the ink still wet when we add some colour. Okay, they're pretty much dry now, so I'm taking a little bit of a leap of faith now. I'm digging out some of my really old Spritzers that I made a couple of years ago, and I'm hoping that they're still going to work. So what I'm just going to do is I'm just going to splatter and drop colour on. The bottles are absolutely, if you'll pardon the expression, they're just knackered. But before I throw them in the bin, get rid, I just wanted to use them for one last time. Just to say I've got my money's worth out of them. Like I said, I've only had them for about 5 or 6 years. See, that's gone. So I'm just dropping colour, letting it do what it will. So the craft card gives you a really good base in which to add colour, because it's already that kind of warm sort of browny colour anyway. It works really well. I do like that green. Where's that green come back? Lime green. Did like that. I like the effect. Right, so I'm hoping the camera's picking that up. So we've got some nice kind of colour, so I shall get that dried off and then I'll be back. The leaves are now dry and the colours have actually absorbed into the craft card. It's quite a subtle kind of colour now. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in some of that gold colour that we talked about. Let me have a quick look at what I've got here. Yeah, I think gold is going to be a bit too orangey, and I don't particularly want to use copper, so instead of gold I'm going to use what almost gold but not quite gold, brass. Where there's muck there's brass, to quote an old English saying, Yorkshire saying actually. There you go. Right, so I've given the paint a bit of a shake up. There we go. Just get a small brush, get some of that on the mat, some water. We'll just water it down a little bit, and then I'm going to just start splattering it onto those leaves. A little bit more water. It really does loosen up the mica. A little bit. That's better. And it is kind of reacting again with the colour that's already gone underneath with those spritzers, and it's kind of made it float to the surface a little bit. I don't know whether you can see this one. If I hold that up now, and you see how the green has kind of come up through the middle of the brass. It's almost enamelled, which is a really nice effect. Right, I'll just very, very gently, from a height, heat these now. Maybe I ought to just leave them to dry au naturel. I'll tell you what, I'll go make myself a cup of coffee and I'll be back. Have a tidy up and a clean up and then I'll be back. The leaves are all dry now, and you can see that beautiful kind of gold shimmer. So what I want to do is I'm going to start to glue these onto my page. I'm just going to use this glue that I got from Mother when I started clearing out her craft stash. Let's see if it's going to come out. I may have to just come on. Now I may have to just go back to what I was planning on using. Right. Same stuff, just in a different bottle. Alright, so I'm going to lay that one like so. And I'm just going to build up a little bit of a carpet. Those lovely leaves. Okay, so I have that one over there. I'm going to have one of those. Just to kind of hide those stalks there. I will hold them down. Don't mind if these are curling up a little bit. Don't mind that at all. And then we'll tuck that one in there. There we go. Like I said, I don't mind if they're just sticking up slightly. A little bit of texture. They'll probably flatten when I close the actual journal. But look at that. Just look at that effect. It's lovely. Almost like fire. Okay, so die cut or two. Definite gold. Can we do harvest? Can we do harvest colours? Fall colours maybe. I will leave that one. Alright, so we've got add, shine or sparkle. Well, I've definitely got that as well, haven't we? So we've got doodles or scribbles and then add a quote like a ransom note. So we need to add something across the top. Okay, so let these sit for a minute just to glue and hold down, and then I'll be back. Okay, so while those are drying, I thought I'd move on to the next stage, which was apply your quote or phrase like a ransom note. Add a quote like a ransom note. So what I've done is I've got some lettering, gold lettering. So what I'm doing is I'm just sticking it down. They're not self-adhesive, I wish they were. So I'm having to glue each letter individually. So I thought I'd make a start, because, you know, you watching me sticking letters down on a piece of cardboard is not the most interesting thing to watch. So what I'll do is I will just stick these few down onto the card. And then what I'm going to do is once they're dry and they're stuck, I'm going to come in with a craft knife and I'm going to cut them out so that they're all onto white backgrounds, or white blocks. That's the plan, which will then mirror what's in the back of the art journal page, because we've got those white shapes that we put through the stencil. I mean, look at the shine there, and also we'll have the balance of the golden letters at the top as well. So we'll have the gold there, and then we'll have the gold coming across the top there for the quote. So that's the plan. So give these a minute or two, and then, like I said, I'm going to come in with a craft knife, and I'm going to just cut out each one individually. So I'll have a little bit of a border. So I'll just cut that off in the strip. And like we said before, it's imperfect this month. Actually, I could just use scissors now, couldn't I? I could just start trimming these out with scissors. I don't really need the knife. And all I need is just a little bit of a white border, and each one can be individual then. So I can just nip out. They don't have to be a uniform size, because they're Ransom Note letters, although posh Ransom Note letters. I don't suppose there are many kidnappers or whatever that send notices out with gold lettering on. Maybe upmarket kidnappers. So I don't mind if there's not, like I said, not a lot of space around each one. It's just to give you that impression. And you can do each one different. All right, so I'll carry on cutting these out, and then I'll be back in a little while. All right, I've got all my letters cut out. So now I'm just going to go around each of them with a little bit of distress ink, just to kind of knock them back, knock the white back just a little bit. It's subtle, but it's there. So I'll go and do these, and then I'll be back. All the letters are done. I've laid them out, auditioned them on the page. I'm happy with the kind of position where they're in. I'll just move it so they're not shining on the light, because they do disappear, look. They turn white if you catch them under the light. So all I'm going to do now is just grab the glue and just put a little blob under each one. And like I said, I'm not really all that bothered if they're not straight, they're not lined up, but I will work from the outside in just to make sure that I'm kind of getting the right position. I've got a little bit of wiggle room with this glue, which is fine. And we can stick them down at jaunty angles because they're ransom letters and we're allowed. They're imperfect, which is what they're supposed to be. There we go. Grab the G. Right, before I stick that one down, let's get this one down. So I want to kind of position it. Although I don't want it imperfect, I also don't want it to be odd. So sort of there. That'll do. That wiggle room just allows us to bend and shape a little bit. There we go. So they're now stuck down. So I'll give it a minute or two, just for everything to dry and grip, and then I'll be back. And we're back. So everything is now glued, stuck. Actually, I've had lunch as well, so look at that. Just look at that shine on those lettering and on those beautiful leaves down there. So where are we up to? Where are we up to? So add a cut like a ransom note, sort of. So we're just left with add doodles or scribbles. I think I'm going to put a question mark next to that one, because is it really harvest? Well, harvest colours kind of, but maybe not. Right, so doodles or scribbles, so border. And I'm just going to use an ordinary black ballpoint pen, because why not? It's not going to skid, it's going to write just onto the page. It's just ordinary paint. So ordinary ink from a ballpoint is more than adequate for this kind of art journal page. So what I might do, just for a little bit of kind of autumny, doodly bits just here, is because it is autumn, let's just put in a little doodly spider web. Because we can. There we go. Just because we're allowed to, because it's autumn. Season of spiders. And I think just hang in a few little dangly doodles also, just helps as well. Because why not? I think that's it. I think we're done. Add doodles and scribbles. So there we go. So let me just finish off by adding in my usual little signature, and then put today's date, which is it the 6th or the 7th today? I can never remember. Let me just have a double quick check. I don't know. 7th, of course it is. So 7th of October. 7, 10, 23. So there we go. There is my mission inspiration for the month of October. I hope you've enjoyed watching me create this page. If you have, please remember to give the video a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel already, you can do so by clicking the button at the end of the video. And don't forget, if you'd like to join us over in our Mission Inspiration Facebook group, then that's the URL on the screen there, but there's also a clickable link in the description area below. But also don't forget to check out Mike's Creative Collective, where you can share any of your projects that you've been inspired to create by my products or my videos. So that's it from me for now. I'll see you all again very, very soon. Bye for now. I'd like to say a huge thank you to all of my angels, because without you, these videos would not be possible. And don't forget, you can access your exclusive angel-only content over on my website. There's a link in the description area below. Thank you.